Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits. I'm losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip. You choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
Welcome back to the GSMC College Football Podcast on this Wednesday, April 9th. Just touched on a little bit about the House settlement. Gonna go on the other side of the legal spectrum, talk a little bit about Northwestern. But first, I just want to remind everyone, this show is all about you. We love hearing from you during the show. Whether you've got a burning question, a hot take on the game, or just something that you've been dying to share, we're all ears. This show is about keeping the conversation lively and making sure your voice is part of the mix. So don't be shy, drop your thoughts in the chat, and if you really want to make sure that your comment or your question gets noticed, why not use Super Chat? Just hit the $sign below the chat box, send in your message, and it's guaranteed to get featured on the show. Plus, it's a great way to support our channel. Your Super Chats help us keep the lights on and bring you even more of the content that you love. We're so grateful for each and every one of you who joins us here. Your support makes all the difference. So let's keep the conversation going. Send in those Super Chats, and together we can make this show even better. If Super Chat isn't your thing, you can also go to gsmcsport.net to tip, donate, and leave your comment or question there. We appreciate every bit of your support. And make sure you stick around for my fourth segment. I'm going to get into some Coach of the Year candidates. It'll be a good one. But first, we're going to dive into a little Northwestern. So, this just came out that Northwestern they're finalizing some lawsuits that had been pending against the school for these hazing incidents that came out 2022, 2023. So, it was November 2022, a former player, a Northwestern football player, reported hazing allegations to the school. They conducted an investigation at the time. School didn't find any evidence of Pat Fitzgerald knowing about this or the coaching staff knowing about the hazing incident, but they did determine that Fitzgerald had ample opportunities to kind of discover about this and report this hazing. So that comes out November 2022. Pat Fitzgerald suspended by the school July 2023. And this was interesting too. Fitzgerald was suspended for 2 weeks. Northwestern players came out, released a letter defending him, saying, hey, this is our coach, this is our guy. We don't believe that he knew about anything like this. And so then even the school president, Michael Schill, he was the one that suspended Pat Fitzgerald. He released a statement saying that he may have erred in his decision after suspending him, after the players came out. So then he says, hey, I may have been wrong here. However, days later comes out more Northwestern former players. They come out, they allege racism, and then hours later after that, Pat Fitzgerald's fired. So some of the things that they had said, some players also alleged that there were sexualized acts going on and other rituals during the team's preseason training camp and at other times during the season. So this was a pretty surprising story at the time. Pat Fitzgerald, this was a guy that was a Northwestern legend. He was an All-American, had played in the league for a couple of years, and this was a guy that Northwestern fans, and really fans across the country, respected a lot. Fitzgerald had multiple opportunities to kind of jump to a higher coaching position. He had been at Northwestern for 15, 20 years at that time, and he had gotten looked at by, I know Notre Dame had interviewed him when they were looking at Marcus Freeman. I know there was a couple different positions where he definitely probably could have jumped to a higher profile major job. He was really respected across the country. So this was kind of surprising when this came out. Kind of shocking, but Fitzgerald gets fired. Northwestern actually has a really good year on their interim head coach, David Brown. They go 8-5, I believe. Had a really solid season. And so this is kind of fallen by the wayside, kind of something that people, didn't really remember that much, has kind of gotten out of the public eye. But there were lawsuits. There were other instances, legal matters that had been pursued against Northwestern, against Pat Fitzgerald. So this settlement's been reached. Northwestern, I'm not sure, the financial agreement has not been disclosed. Any financial terms have not been disclosed. But this is a big thing. It's still going on. This, obviously, Northwestern's not being punished anymore. And it also came out, Fitzgerald's attorneys, they released a statement on Monday saying that there remains no evidence of any wrongdoing by Pat Fitzgerald. There was nothing that came out in discovery. I believe that they had multiple depositions. The Northwestern side had also had multiple depositions with, I want to say there was around 70 former players that they had deposed and taken statements from. So this was a big thing. It's still going on. But Fitzgerald's attorneys, they're pretty adamant that Pat Fitzgerald did not know about this or have any kind of knowledge. Which that's interesting, just from, normally a head coach of a football program kind of knows what's going on. But there are definitely certain instances when that's not the case, when stuff is done by assistants or support staff that the head coach does not know. So do we know for sure that Pat Fitzgerald did or did not know about this? We do not. But Fitzgerald's adamant that he did not know about this. He still has a pending lawsuit against Northwestern for wrongful termination. That date is set for November 1st. They're about to go to court for that. November 3rd. That's the date for that. And so this was interesting too. In his lawsuit, Fitzgerald claims that he actually had a verbal agreement with Schill, with the man who suspended him for 2 weeks, that he wouldn't be punished further. Schill allegedly told Fitzpatrick that, hey, after this suspension, nothing else is going to happen. You're good. I needed to suspend you. We didn't find anything that said you knew about this. We didn't find any wrongdoing per se. So, after the suspension, you're coming back. Nothing else is going to happen. You're not going to be punished. We're just going to go with it. And then, obviously, he does get fired after a few days later. So that's really his big claim right now. Fitzgerald's big claim is that, hey, I had this verbal agreement. And obviously, an oral agreement is not the same as a written contract. Written agreement doesn't hold the same weight, especially in the court of law. But that's his main claim. So, and he's also seeking, this is an $130 million lawsuit that Pat Fitzgerald's seeking right now. It was broken down by, the two numbers are 68 and 62. One of them is the amount of time that he had left on his current deal with Northwestern at the time. The other number is for future damages, for future any profit he would have made, any salary he would have made from future coaching down the line in these past few years. I can't remember which one is which, but those are the two numbers. Again, this is going to be an interesting one to see. I'm not sure. It's normally pretty hard for a coach to win a wrongful termination lawsuit, especially if the school has any kind of solid evidence. I also think just with the situation in general, it's going to be probably pretty difficult for Pat Fitzgerald to win that wrongful lawsuit termination case. I don't know, though. I could be wrong. I'm just speculating here. This is nothing I know for sure. I just feel like it's probably going to be pretty difficult for Pat Fitzgerald to win that. But again, I don't know any of the details. I haven't seen any official documents. I haven't heard any deposition or testimony, so I don't know. It could be completely wrong. However, this was something that was really a big deal, especially for Northwestern. Pat Fitzgerald was really respected around the country. Kind of did lose all of his standing just around the nation, especially with Northwestern, the school that he played at, that he was an All-American at, that he really loved, and clearly they wanted him to be there too for a long time. That's not the case right now, obviously. Fitzgerald, for his part, he has not stepped foot back into college coaching. He's currently just like a volunteer assistant with his son's high school team. And I don't think there's going to be a program, at least in the next few years, that'll take a chance on him. Depending on the way this lawsuit goes, depending on what other information comes out, there's a chance, that somebody down the line will take a shot at Pat Fitzgerald and say, hey, we're going to give you another chance to coach in college. Sorry, I'm losing my voice there. Had to clear the throat for a second. Excuse me. But yes, this is going to be a big deal, and we're going to see how it all kind of shakes out. Obviously, these hazing lawsuits seem to be settled. That's probably going to go away. Not go away, but it won't be in the news as much. It's kind of going to be settled. I think the big thing here is what's going to happen with Pat Fitzgerald's wrongful termination lawsuit, and if we're going to find out any other information about kind of what actually happened at Northwestern, and if he did know anything. So it'll be tough to see, but we're going to find out. Things play out in court. That's how it goes. So right now, we're going to take our second break of the show. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about the Pac-12, or the Pac-7, I guess. But we're going to take a short break, and we'll be back on the GSMC College Football Podcast.
Looking for your daily